Hey, this is Princess Akeema,
And this is Traniceia.
and we are the founders of Beekeepers. If you haven't already, definitely please, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell because we do try to put out content regularly. And for those who are interested and new practitioners looking for support, I definitely invite you to check out our website, which you can see in our profile. Today, we're actually going to talk about how to ground ourselves before and sometimes even during a client session. I think that is something to talk about. I think it's something that needs to be said because a lot of times when you are running any type of business, whether it's a heart-centered business like what we do, or whether you're, I don't know, a dry cleaner, a lot of times you're preoccupied. Hello, you're preoccupied with your sales and with your numbers. And as a successful business owner, you definitely have to be thinking about money. However, when you work in industries such as ours, in holistic medicine, you have to consider where you are before you match and meet up with your patient. Would you agree with that, Trinicia?
Yes, I definitely agree. This is an industry where we do not match energy.
And matching energy is not, I think that there's a negative connotation with that, right? We always talk about like someone's bringing being negative and I don't want to match their negative energy. But also, you need to deal with your own stuff outside of your treatment room. And I don't care where your treatment room is. I don't care if you do telehealth. I don't care if you actually, rent commercial space or a room in the back of someone else's space. If you're at a community event, and it's hot and there's flies and bees, and you've been asked to come out and speak or to do some kind of body work, I think it's important before you're talking with an individual, before you're entering into their kind of space that you deal with your stuff because it will be to the detriment of your client, to your patient when you don't, because they are coming to you for your knowledge, for your wisdom, for your compassion, for your understanding, and at times for your accountability. That's fine. We can say as practitioners that we're sometimes holding our patients accountable to things that they allow us to do. But what you don't want is to be in that patient appointment and now you're overthinking about something that's going on in your own life, and that could be an emotional distress that you're dealing with. It could be a physical ailment that you're experiencing, and you're free to be human. But I think those are things that we need to address before we get into the treatment room. And also, what are we doing once we're there? If something does pop up, I know in acupuncture school during the first year, they taught us techniques, and these may sound silly if you've never had to do reflective or active listening. But I remember this one teacher that I had, Rachel, and if she's watching, shout out to Rachel. But Rachel would have us to watch mock intake. So, everyone would take a turn, and she would say, hey, pick something to do in the room. So, for some people, it was you take a sip of water. If you cross your right leg over your left leg, cross your left leg over your right leg. If you were leaned to one direction, lean to the next direction. That was to get that stagnation out of your body. You know what I'm saying? Like just being intentional. I mean, we're actually doing it with each other right now because you're listening to me and I'm watching you're leaning in, and it's giving me the thought that, like, man, she's listening to me. Now, I don't know if y'all are listening to me because I can't see y'all's body language, but I know that my girl Trinicia is she's doing things in her body that are communicating to me that I have her attention. That's important.
Yes, even of course, like it's important to do with your clients as well. A lot of times, like I brought up the don't match energies because because a lot of times, like as people, as the human nature, when someone comes in, no matter what business you have or just life and period, you when you interact with people and they seem kind of off or they you seem like they're giving you attitude. um it takes a lot to kind of try to understand where it may or have compassion, right, for what they might be going through. There's been times even in the massage room where clients come in and they have what you would be perceived as bad attitudes, but like they have life going on. So a lot of times they're coming in there and it's their life is in shambles.
Mm.
Um, and a lot of times, like after the session or during the session, they're having these what we call emotional releases. And then they'll start like it becomes therapy, almost like a therapy session. And they'll start like, "Hey, I'm going through a divorce," or "This is happening," or whatever. Or sometimes they don't even know where these emotions are coming from. So being as being a safe space for them, you have to be well grounded in yourself.
I agree. And I would say to the practitioner, you also have to control what happens in your treatment room. One of the things we talk a lot about is the scope of practice. And, at what point do you need to refer your patient out to someone? If every time they come to see you, they're talking about this, big stressor and this big heart condition, yeah, remember your scope of practice is what it is. And if you're not in a, mental health field, it may be of benefit that you refer them out. So that is one way that you can stay grounded is by staying within your scope of practice, knowing what your niches are. I think also too, and just we talked about some practicalities, and I'm just going to continue on with that when you get to wherever you're treating your patients. So for me, sometimes I'm, doing telehealth and I'm right here in this space. There are things that are a part of this space in terms of the illumination, the colors, the smells, the nature outside the window. Those are all things that speak to me. If my patient benefits from that, then I think that that is equally beneficial. But you need to take care of yourself. You ever hear this one Traniceia, where people who get their hair done and like, oh, I don't want to go to the hairdresser who don't keep their hair looking good. Like, because it was like, how can they Mhm. How can they do my hair? And we all know that the hairdresser could have on a scarf and be amazing at doing hair. So let's not be so rigid. But it's that concept, or when people go to the hospitals and a doctor outside who might be smoking a cigarette, and you're thinking like, man, this is very hypocritical, because then they're going to tell you inside to take care of your bronchial and your alveoles and everything, because like take care of your lungs. I think we too, and this will be my last thought unless you have anything else, is that we too have to own that when people are coming into our helping spaces and into the where we're making promises to people that we're going to walk you through something from this natural and holistic space, be authentic and take care of yourself first. And that's a big thing for me. When I'm authentically practicing this medicine, that is going to just predicate that, of course, I'm going to be grounded because I want to give my patient the best experience.
So I want to kind of go back to the point where you said staying in our scope. I think it makes you a better practitioner and a responsible one when something is out of your scope to refer them out, because a lot of times in the healing field we want to be everything to everyone, and we it kind of messes up the dynamic, client, practitioner, relationship. And it just makes you a better practitioner, knowing like, hey, this is not my specialty, and I can refer you someone who can help you with this, and keeping things separate. um, but yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
point I had.
Yeah. And so we'll close on that note. And just as a gentle reminder, all of us who have gone through any sort of formal schooling, they reiterate that in your ethics classes. So thank you guys for I'm gonna end on that note because it's like, well, is that yes, it's in all of our ethics books. Refer out if it's out of your niche and out of scope of practice. Stay grounded, guys. Take care of yourself and keep in mind this is how you take better care of your patients. For any of our folks who would like more information on the beekeeper colony practitioner cultivation program, definitely check out the website. Otherwise, we will catch you next time. Peace and blessings.